everyone, and welcome to Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die, Not a Threat.
Just a fact. Morning edition.
It's morning edition. It's 11:40 where I am. I got a fresh beeb that I plan to drink, and my nickname this week is Bigger Luke Than Before.
Wait, what's your real name?
That's my nickname. I'm Matt.
Hi, I'm Alex Leafcrunch, and my don't talk to me before I've had my podcast mug is raising a lot of questions that are answered by said mug.
And I'm Val Flight Cub, and 27 years ago on this date, I was baby.
And
Baby?
yet, in this day, at this time, you're still baby.
I'm still baby. 27 years baby and going strong. Well, going as strong as a
Baby
baby
forever.
is. So,
I mean, are you a buff baby?
yes. I'm also
Sometimes,
a boss.
Baby boss.
Just like the movie Baby Boss.
yeah, just like the legal baby boss from the Boss Baby.
From the movie
So-
Baby Boss.
This has been a really, really big week for things happening. We had
star.
primarily just like the Democratic debates happened again, and I watched some of them, regrettably.
My condolences.
Yeah, that's where we're going to lead off this week, is talking about that shit.
Yep.
The big one is Tim Ryan is apparently in control of my microphone because he doesn't want anyone to yell. And that's why my microphone is like weirdly quiet while we were trying to set up today, is because Bernie Sanders frightened his son,
Yes.
his large adult son, and now he just doesn't want Bernie Sanders to yell anymore.
Nope. And he made a sticker about it that you can.
He literally made a sticker about it
Why?
that says, "You don't have to yell Tim Ryan 2020. Drop out, you fucking coward."
I mean, on the other hand, who yells?
I mean, Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, I will say, you don't have to yell Tim Ryan 2020, period.
You don't have to yell Tim Ryan 2020.
You don't have to yell Tim Ryan 2020.
I
And
will
shouldn't.
never yell Tim Ryan 2020.
Yeah.
In fact, I never will. I won't
Well, you
even
don't have
whisper
to
it. I
yell
won't even
Tim Ryan
ASMR
2020.
Tim Ryan 2020.
The only.
Tim Ryan 2020.
Okay, but you just did, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I
Truth.
did.
You don't have to yell Tim Ryan 2020.
You don't have to.
And in fact, you shouldn't.
And you don't have to vote Tim Ryan 2020.
Did either of you actually watch any of the debate?
Fuck
No.
no.
Oh, you guys are so much smarter than me.
I watched the gif of that one guy looking stupid.
Oh, that's John Delaney, and he was the next guy.
Oh, yeah.
First of
Oh,
all,
yes.
multiple people I said the name John Delaney to thought I was saying John Mulaney.
I think that every single time.
And I ran for presidential election, you know, like a liar.
And he's just absolutely useless in every way, and he kept getting dunked on the debate stage, and it was extremely funny every time.
And he did not have
Like-
any ability to control his face
No!
or tell
he
his
just
face
looked,
that he was getting owned.
Yeah, and his face showed the own on the face every time. It was very funny when it was realized by Elizabeth Warren that her proposed wealth tax would affect John Delaney specifically. Because you could really see the look on both of their faces while it was happening, like Elizabeth Warren just rubbing her hands together.
She just. That was my
Elizabeth
answer.
Warren did pretty good on the debate stage. She's like really shown herself as a candidate. There's obviously still problems with her policies not really generally going far enough. Because like her main thing seems to be like Bernie Sanders, but not as much. And then also like a wealth tax.
Yes.
Because
So
I don't
just-
think Bernie Sanders is proposing a wealth tax.
So instead of Bernie Sanders, just Bernie Sand.
It's Bernie Sand-ish. Actually, you know what? Burn is too strong. It's like a mild, it's scaldy sand.
Scaldy Sand.
Who's
Elizabeth Warren is like when you walk on the beach without sandals when it's really hot out. Like you're not quite getting burnt, but you're still going, ooh, ouch, 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 oof, my feet.
Should have worn flip flops.
Except that mild discomfort is the mild discomfort felt by rich people who should be having their heads removed instead.
Right. So it's impossible to say.
Matt,
Yes.
does Sandy Gas learn brine?
Sandy Gas does not learn brine.
Well,
I can
if
say
it
that with
did-
confidence.
If it did, then think about it.
You know what? I'm thinking about it. That's it. I'm thinking about it.
Wait, is it brine or scald? Never mind. This isn't a podcast about Pokemon.
You were thinking Scald.
I was.
And
Ryan
there's
doesn't-
like one non-water type that learns Scald, and it's Embor.
Thank you.
Embor
Just the big pig.
knee Sanders. Embor knee Sanders.
Embor knee Sanders. You know what?
Emborny
If
Sanders.
you think about it,
Emborny Sandergast.
If you really
Shit.
think about it.
Emborny Sandergast, if you really think about it. The debate also had a very good worst person you know makes a great point moment, which seems to happen at every debate because Kamala Harris did it last debate
Yep.
against Joe Biden, and this time it was Tulsi Gabbard against Kamala Harris.
Yes.
Who, and I cannot stress this enough, is that?
Tulsi Gabbard is a representative from Hawaii. She is part Samoan and part Indian, I believe,
Okay.
like Tamil Indian. And basically ripped Kamala Harris for her record of imprisoning people while being a prosecutor because she was a prosecutor.
Kamala
and
Harris.
by definition, that's what you do.
Yes.
Good for her.
And it's good, but like having trouble summoning all the reasons why Tulsi Gabbard is bad in my head. But I know one of them was like until like relatively recently, she had strongly homophobic positions.
And also, apparently, according to WikiFeet, she has the best feet of all the Democratic candidates.
Did you do you have a rating of all the 2020 Democratic candidates' feet?
No, I just have that one input.
Man, I wish you just had the whole list, and then we can go over the whole list.
That would be pretty funny if we talked about
We
in
could do
detail.
the feet.
like a Guess Who, but with feet instead of faces.
Stephanie says Bernie is running, so his feet got to be a little foot.
True.
Yeah, you're right.
But capable.
John Delaney definitely has terrible feet. There's no way that man has foot hygiene.
I'm sure John Delaney was born. I'm sure John Delaney was born with 8 toes, and it's
On
not
each
even
foot?
like. Take your pick. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, take your pick.
Let me just Google
Andrew Yang
feet.
was his standard like libertarian self at this debate.
How many toes does he have?
Does he got toes?
Does he got toes?
The one point that I wanted to zero in on is he had like this really big like climate alarmism take, which is basically like we're fucked already, go to high ground, which is like how rich people think about climate change all the time.
Yeah.
And it's very defeatist. And I just like the opposite tack of that, which is taken by Canadian People's Party of Canada leader Maxime Bernier, who is like the new like far right party in Canada because we get to have one of those.
Here you go.
The far left are targeting our kids. They've been teaching socialist propaganda for decades. Now they encourage children to be gender fluid and change sex, and they frighten them with climate alarmist nonsense. This is child abuse as a recruitment technique. So this guy's, just the leader of a political party that's definitely going to capture seats in the legislature. So that's how Canada's doing.
Yeah. Also, the person that he's quote tweeting there calls the people environmental Marxists.
Yes.
Which is just like, yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude. We should share the environment.
Yes.
It should be distributed in a way that's fair. And not people
environment-
owning a whole bunch of land
Yeah.
and then exploiting it ruthlessly, which is environmental capitalism.
Yes.
The resources we have should not be commodified. Amazing.
Wow, who'd have thunk it? But yeah, no, Andrew Yang's take is bullshit. There are any time, maybe like later than what was originally necessary to start fighting like large scale climate disaster. But any time to start is better than no time at all.
Yep.
And even if we don't reverse the effects necessarily, we still will get cleaner air and more efficient infrastructure, which are good things that we should be striving for anyway.
Right. It's wild because it's like he understands the climate change is real and is a threat, but he's like, because it's so late, we might as well just keep doing exactly what we're doing now and not change anything. Which is an interesting way to
that's basically
get to the same end point as conservatives. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, a lot of like oil executive boosting conservatives have taken basically the same tack. They're like, they denied it for long enough that it passed like what was deemed a tipping point.
right.
And then now we're just like, well, the oil's there. We might as well get it since we're all going to die.
Right.
Because, it's all about short-term profits, right? Just it's quarterly profits are the literal only thing that that matters to any business.
Right. It's like, well,
Like
we
not even
were-
long-term sustainability of a business does not matter because people people at the top, people in management will just cycle themselves out when a business isn't profitable anymore, or they'll just like pull a Bain Capital and run it into the ground while extracting all the resources from it, like they did to Toys R Us.
Exactly.
So like nothing will ever matter other than short-term profits to these people, so no one should take them seriously.
Right. Like in our current system, everyone is kind of every man for himself and being exploitative and terrible and non-altruistic. But, we have so little time left because of climate change. It's got to be every man for himself now, which is different because now it's because of the environment and not because capitalism is structured that way. So it's
it's like
it's smart instead of cruel.
It's like, maybe we were wrong to do things this way before, but now that it's too late, we have to do these things like before, but even more.
We have to do them harder.
Yeah, we have no choice.
Because otherwise we'll make the money sad.
We will.
Right, and it's all about the money.
Money's
But yeah, so
sad.
as the one person here who watched like 3/4 of the Democratic debates overall, there was some strong moments from Elizabeth Warren, as I said. Bernie Sanders killed it pretty much the whole time. Absolutely buried John Delaney.
Oh, can we talk about the map of
Yes.
individual donors to the Democratic candidates?
Do you have that handy?
I can find it. And how they had to make a second map that excluded Bernie Sanders because the first map was almost entirely Bernie Sanders.
Oh, good.
Yes. So it's like all of Texas is Beto and Indiana is Buttigieg, but everybody's got their own home states. But then literally everything else is just Bernie.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense.
There's been some
Buttigieg had the one good moment where he repeated the one good line that he's had, which is basically just like every single leftist line, which is they're going to call us socialists anyway, so we might as well try to do something better. But the thing is what Buttigieg is offering is like warmed over, not even centrism.
Right.
So like that line only really works if you're going to try to put forward like something even resembling a socialist policy. So it's very funny coming from him, but it is the tack that all Democrats should be taking,
right?
Which is they should be putting forward socialism because they're just going to get called socialists anyway. So they might as well just do it and watch as it works.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because he's like, we might as well just do whatever policies we want to put in place and not worry about being called socialist, but the policies he wants to put in place are not.
Yeah, well, because essentially that is taking the exact same strategy the Republicans have been taking for years and doing it the other way.
Right.
Because Democrats seem to operate thinking that Republicans are acting in good faith, where they never are.
Right.
They never are, never have been, never will be.
Right.
And so they should be taking... While Obama was president, they had control of the executive branch and both branches of the House.
Yeah, but I mean,
the House,
power
the
like
Senate,
that,
and the presidency at once, and they did nothing.
yeah.
They did absolutely nothing with that.
How would you ever get anything done if you have control of everything? So,
yeah, like they did Medicare for all and spent like, they did the Affordable Care Act, and they spent like 8 months passing Republican amendments to it to make it worse. Before putting it through, despite the fact that they could have just put it through.
Yeah. Well, the other thing was that the Affordable Care Act had input and wanted the approval of private insurance lobbies, which is immediately the wrong thing to do.
The wrong thing to do. You shouldn't do it.
The opposite thing. Like, why get permission from the people you're trying to kick out, basically?
Yeah. Wow. This map is
when they go low, we go high. Which
right.
Who the fuck is voting for Bullock?
Who?
That part.
Bullock didn't even make it into the first debate because he didn't pass the support threshold.
Sandra
Montana.
Bullock?
It's something Bullock. I don't know what the fuck his first name is anymore. He's
Sandra
one of the
Bullock.
absolute nothing people.
His first name is actually Senator. Yeah.
Senator Sandra Bernie Bullock.
Bernie Sandra Bullock is what you said earlier, right?
Yes.
And yeah, I didn't even talk about like half the candidates because they were all nothing. Like Amy Klobuchar was nothing. She managed to look smug the whole debate, which was very weird. Like everything she was saying, this just seemed to be full of derision at everyone else. Like there was a lot of every single question that Jake Tapper asked was attacking a Bernie Sanders position.
Oh my god. Yeah, basically every question was like, Bernie Sanders, why do you hate America?
why is going to the left bad and will make us lose against Trump?
This
was essentially every single question.
This question is for anybody else. What is your least favorite thing about Bernie Sanders?
Yeah, so there was a really good Citations Needed episode on Jake Tapper a couple of months ago, and then, like, if you follow them on Patreon, they have a news brief about Jake Tapper's, like, general cowardice. So, like, if you want to hear smart people talk about the debate, then I'd highly suggest getting Citations Needed's coverage on it, and also Even More News with Cody Johnson and Katie Stoll. They had what's his name, the guy who does Behind the Bastards, Robert Evans, on, because they're actually going to be doing a podcast together called The Worst Year Ever, which is going to be about this election.
Could be about any time.
And it's going to be very good. And yeah, just if you want to hear like more in-depth conversation about the debate than we're giving, then I'd highly suggest those sources. We're buying for the extremely online. It's a different sect. We're covering different audiences here.
It's wild. I mean, one of the questions was literally phrased like, why should, or like, do you believe that the U.S. should tie its own hands and and with a policy of not striking first in nuclear attacks? It's like, well, what an unbiased question you have. That could
so
be
bad.
anything. Like, what?
And people were like attacking Elizabeth Warren for saying that she wouldn't first strike.
Right.
And like the implication of the question is that someone is going to throw a nuke at the U.S.,
right?
Which is just so wildly unlikely.
And that we'll know about it in advance and choose to do nothing about it.
Yeah.
Like, didn't we have
like if any intelligence is suggesting that someone's going to throw a nuke, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening.
We had several lack of wars about nukes potentially being sent towards us and us getting them to not be sent to us.
Lack of War is my favorite PlayStation exclusive video game.
It's Kratos and his son only fishing. That's it.
That would be
It's
wonderful.
just a JRPG fishing minigame. So I just wanted to close thoughts on the debate with this tweet from Brooks, who watched the entirety of both debates, but yet refused to appear on this episode because he's a coward.
Semper funny. What else?
Brooks, go on, HKIP.
Brooks, go on HKIP, please. You're smarter than us. Can't believe I have to wait until September to spend 5 more hours being extremely angry while watching something entirely voluntary that barely matters. And folks, can I just give that a big mood?
Famous self-hater Brooks watched all of the dumb debates and is looking forward to watching more of them.
Yeah, well, so it is a lot like watching Game of Thrones, in which sometimes it's fun to make yourself angry. Except in this case, it's fun to make yourself angry about things that eventually fundamentally matter by people who clearly don't care as much as you do.
Right.
Like, no one on that stage is having their livelihood affected by the decisions made on that stage.
No.
And I feel like that's really the thing to zero in on.
I mean, a couple of them care, but it's not because they're going to lose their health insurance about it.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, they're not going to be personally affected by it.
Yeah.
Because they'll always have health insurance as members of the House and Senate.
Right.
For those of them that are.
Or if they're not.
And the ones that aren't are just rich.
Exactly.
And that's why they're just allowed on the debate stage.
So,
speaking of health insurance, though, we have
this is a big one.
A very, very exciting development.
Medicare for All is now the official Democratic Party position in the U.S. House, as the legislation now has 118 sponsors, which is an official majority of the House Democratic Caucus.
Woo!
Like, that is enormous, and like.
So yeah, this is a landmark for Bernie Sanders and Pramila Jayapal, who are the people who are sponsoring that bill.
It was like,
and that's really cool.
It was like a year ago that that was like a crazy combination of words to even say. Like, it was so out of nowhere that we would extend Medicare to every person in the country. And now everyone agrees that it's a great idea, because it is.
Me and Alex of the Leafed Crunch are two people who live in a country where that's been the reality as long as we've been alive.
Right.
Yeah.
To a certain point, there are things that aren't covered by Canada's healthcare. Well, I mean, like in our case, Ontario's healthcare, because healthcare is managed by the provinces. Through federal health care tax transfers. And
we are in the middle of a right-wing reactionary push across Canada, which is making like a death by 1,000 cuts is what it's trying to do to healthcare.
Yes.
But it's still much better than no healthcare.
I cannot overstate how much healthcare transfers were cut under Jean Chrétien's Liberal government, and that the death by 1,000 cuts has been enabled by the service reductions, which were created by the lack of funding for provincial healthcare services. Like, it was actively made worse by a Liberal government, essentially, it was just giving it the power to be broken down by conservative governments, which are moving in reactionary circles, gaining power and cutting more, because the classic thing to do to public infrastructure that you want to privatize is to make it worse first.
Right.
So that you can justify privatizing it.
Exactly.
Right.
And so that's happening like all over right now, which is fun. We do have one party, the New Democratic Party, which is our essentially center-left party, which is pushing to expand Canadian Medicare to cover dental and mental health services, which are currently not covered.
Oh.
Sorry, dental, mental health services, and medication as well. Because medication is also not covered by by our provincial services or any national services. Although, as Bernie Sanders made note of, you can get medications manufactured in the U.S. in Canada for like 1/10 the price.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that that they want to put in with pharmacare in Canada, is essentially reducing that price further by instituting like broad buying. So essentially the province would buy large amounts of medication like collectively to help distribute it at a lower cost, essentially just by purchasing in bulk.
Are you saying that collectivizing healthcare in some way reduces costs?
Is good.
What?
Well, no, you see, because actually Canadians and Americans actually spend the same amount of money on healthcare. It's just that Canadians are taxed on it, so they have to spend the money all at once, which is bad. And they're definitely spending the same amount of money as the Americans, who are being bled dry for it. They're not, definitely not at competitive prices.
Right, because
like
when you increase your taxes, sometimes people die.
No one I know in Canada has ever had to make a GoFundMe for their healthcare.
Right, but Canadian taxes are so high that people definitely, if you get sick, could just go bankrupt and then die from lack of.
Well, because
the taxes are so much.
Because when you break your leg and you have to pay $150,000, well, that's fair because you broke your leg. But when I pay $150,000 in taxes and I didn't break my leg, that's unfair because I wasn't using that money.
Right, but have to pay $150,000 in taxes.
Well, exactly, and that's why we live in polar bears and ride on igloos to school.
Yeah.
That brings me into something that I had linked with this story, which is there's someone named Val on Twitter, Val Brown EDU.
There's a lot of Vals on Twitter.
There's a lot of Vals. First question is about Medicare for all. Sanders just said that Canadians never get medical bills. That didn't sound accurate. What say ye, Canadians? And then #DemDebate. Later down in the thread, it makes it obvious that this was an intentionally leading question.
So that she could get more responses.
So that she could get good responses to it, yeah. She's not actually that unimaginative. Because like a strong number of Americans cannot imagine going to a doctor and not paying a bill.
Yeah, just go. And
the only time I've had to go to a doctor and pay a bill is when I was getting skin tags removed, because that's a cosmetic procedure.
Yeah.
And even then, it was $10.
Oh my God.
I was paying for the cost of the needles used to anesthetize before they cut the skin tags off.
My copays aren't even as low as $10 for regular stuff.
Yeah, and even then, the private insurance that I got through my employer, which this was a minimum wage job that I was managing to get private employer insurance through.
Okay.
Because that's a thing that can happen.
Sure. Yeah.
When insurance isn't ludicrously expensive. I was paying $45 a month for it.
Yeah, same here.
And my deductible on dental, which was covered 80%, I had 80% of my dental covered. The deductible was $25.
I don't want to be on this podcast anymore. I have to go home. I'm taking my ball and I'm leaving because that's amazing. That is
this is the kind of thing that's possible
money. Because that's how much stuff actually costs.
Yeah.
In America, the cost is not the price. Kermit the Frog shaking his head.
Yeah, like the big thing that kept coming up at the Dem debate was people who'd fought hard to get their employer-based insurance under their union would be mad to lose this insurance. And like this insurance, from what I have seen, sucks fucking ass.
You still have to pay for it.
Yeah, like I'm like talking to like friends of the podcast, and like their copays are like $1,000 before anything gets covered.
Yeah.
$1,000.
And it's like you're
wait, a month?
Wait, do you mean deductible?
I did mean deductible.
Did you just make the exact same?
Their copays.
Did you make the exact
very
same
expensive.
mistake that Joe Biden did on the debate stage?
Yes. See, the difference is I don't have to know what these things
The difference is you're a
Exactly,
Canadian
yeah.
podcaster, and he's trying to be the president of the United States.
He's trying to be the president. So yeah, okay. So like the copays are like something like $300, $400 a month. So you're paying that much just to have the insurance, and then the deductibles are like $1,000 before you actually start getting coverage.
Yep.
So like, there's no benefit to this. Why do you want this?
Yeah. No.
Well,
Like
it's
to
the
have
same-
actually good insurance is like you'd have to bargain for better insurance, and when you have like a socially provided insurance, your bargaining position gets better.
It's more leverage.
That means it's easier to. You have leverage.
Right.
You want leverage.
Yeah.
Well, they don't want
This
it.
is fundamentally from people who don't understand what unions do.
Oh, yeah, exactly. They don't want it because it's the same logic as we shouldn't have universal debt forgiveness because
Yup.
that's unfair to the people who already paid it off.
That is exactly what I was going to say. Yes. Same hat.
And yeah, like I paid off my student loans in like a year and a half because I was able to live at home with my parents who have like 6-figure incomes, and I was able to work a job that I got because I knew a manager and work full time and not pay rent.
Right. So wouldn't you be so personally offended if someone else didn't have to do that?
Like some of my friends just don't have any fucking money.
Right.
And they don't have parents who work good union jobs like my parents do.
Right.
Like this is an extraordinary privilege I have, even in a place where like tuition costs significantly less. Like my total debt load from my tuition from 3 years of university that I didn't finish and then 2 years of community college is the total debt load is less than some people pay in tuition for a year in the States.
Yep.
Do you want to know what the number is, Val, or would you get really mad?
I don't have any student debt, so
Okay.
I won't get mad.
My total debt load was $29,000.
Yeah, that's less than I paid for a semester.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
Or maybe a year. But still.
And like three of those years were engineering, which is the most expensive degree you can get in Canada as an undergrad.
Jeez.
It was like $9,600 a year.
Yeah,
that was the total.
That's less than, like, just the interest that some people will pay on their...
Like engineering in the States, I've seen the tuition, and sometimes it's like $60,000, and that's when you're going to an in-state school
Per year.
Per year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it doesn't cost that much.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, yeah, there's just it's administrative bloat for one thing, but it's also just like a fundamental misalignment of priorities.
Yes.
Like at every single level of government, at every single level of administration in like universities, it's a misalignment of how these things need to be organized.
Yeah.
And in Canada, it is a lot of state subsidy. Like a lot of public universities get state subsidies to run.
The fundamental infrastructure of capitalism is a faulty reward system. It's bad. It's always bad.
How can someone as fucking stupid as John Delaney get that much money?
Yeah.
He's so fucking dumb. He's dumb as fuck.
Well-
and like Donald Trump.
The first thing you have to do is be born, and if you fuck that step up, then you're screwed.
Just try again.
Yeah. You just have to be born and your parents are rich. And then...
You have to quick load and quick save to get like a good roll.
yeah.
And then once you have like the RNGs in your favor, then you can keep going.
Right. Right.
It really is just RNG, isn't it?
Rich, numbnuts guy.
Rich numbnuts guy.
It's true.
That's what it stands for.
As far as I know, that is what it stands for.
That's just what it stands for. So yeah, fundamental lack of imagination, fundamental lack of organizing priorities. That's just what it comes down to. And the fact that Democrats can't just look like, a little bit north to where like all the Canadians live within like 2 hours of the border. We're all here. You can see us. We're right here.
Yeah. It's not that these things aren't feasible. It's that there are too many people who profit off of these systems that...
But just like, there are so many Americans who just don't understand going to the doctor and not having a bill.
Right, because
You just have to talk to one Canadian to understand this.
Yeah.
Like, so this came up in the Discord, I was like, wait, do they mail you the bill? Like, that's how little I understand how this works.
You're like, what is a bill?
I've seen medical bills from the States before, and there's always just like these weird fucking charges on it. Like ambulance fee. Don't even get me fucking started on the idea of paying for an ambulance. What the fuck?
Yeah.
We only have to pay for an ambulance if it is considered a nuisance ambulance order. So essentially, if someone ordered an ambulance like as a prank,
right? So you have to pay a fine. You're not actually paying,
and it's
for
a
the
fine.
Ambulance.
If you're not paying for an ambulance,
yeah, it's not $800 because you fell and needed to get to the hospital. Yeah,
like in like an anecdotal story of someone I know who's Canadian, and someone they know was in like a really bad situation. So the Canadian like called their local ambulance and had an ambulance ordered to their house. And those people stopped talking because of the severe bill that was placed on the latter person for that ambulance being ordered.
Ooh.
Christ.
Yeah.
And like that was out of like genuine concern, and it like practically ruined them financially.
Like how are ambulances privatized? The only reason
that it doesn't make any fucking sense.
It's capitalism. There's no market reason that people should be.
Well, see, the market actually organizes itself to be the most efficient.
It's true. Yeah.
And
that's actually that's the truth.
And that's why it needs bailouts and government help.
And like all the time.
Why it
to
needs
make money,
advocates in the government at the highest level and also all levels to make sure that we don't upset the system. Because if you upset the system, it'll start crying, and that'll make the money sad.
That will make the money sad. Does anyone else love to be spied on?
Yeah.
I'm
always
in some
posing.
circumstances.
So the Pentagon is testing mass surveillance balloons across the U.S.
Male fantasies.
Are they helium balloons?
They are. It just says high altitude balloons. I do not know how they are. Because I was just like reading this whole article, trying to see if it's possible to snipe one out of the air.
I was gonna say just like laser, right? Like make it hot on one side.
I mean, I
like
think
an ant. Like an ant microscope, but in reverse?
Yeah, like an ant with like an ant and a microscope in reverse.
But it's the ant, and it's making you burn with the telescope.
So this was something that was put on by the...
Not a threat, sorry.
I think it was the US edition of The Guardian. So I always need to specify when talking about The Guardian that we are never going to cite the UK version of The Guardian, which is the TERF version. Well, not the TERF, sorry, the transphobe version of The Guardian. The US version of The Guardian has like put active editorial out saying we do not agree with the positions held by the UK edition of The Guardian. And I feel like I have to solidify that every time that I am not talking about that edition of The Guardian.
Yeah.
So the Pentagon is testing mass surveillance balloons across the US, mostly in Midwestern states right now. So essentially they're stratosphere level balloons. So like they're pretty high up and they can cover large swaths of land, and they're able to track vehicles from that height over like multiple 100-mile distances. And these are all private corporations that are being like essentially contracted by the Pentagon.
Great.
And there's no oversight as to what's happening with the data they are currently collecting in these tests.
Okay, well, Matt, you can't have...
So that's cool.
You can't have oversight because they're in the stratosphere. What, are you going to be above the balloon?
We need to send Chris Hadfield back into space to watch over the balloons for us.
Chris Hadfield going around the Earth 19 times a day, and just every time he like passes over a balloon, he checks it, and like it's good.
No, Chris Hadfield going around the Earth 19 times a day, and every time he sees one of the balloons, he snipes it out of the fucking sky.
Yes. Like that reenactor who threw the spear at a drone. But from above.
Oh, yeah. But
what if it's Elon Musk shooting the rocket into space, and he just drops his car on a balloon every time?
Hey, enemy of my enemy, you know?
Yeah, no, if Elon Musk decided to shoot surveillance balloons out of the sky, I might be obligated to stand.
He
has like 3 different things that he could do at any time that I'd be obligated to stand him for, but he hasn't done any of them yet.
He just doesn't do any of them.
Like,
God, there was actually like further information about the Boring Company's like tunnels that they're doing, and I wish I had the article on hand, but it somehow managed to get stupider.
They are
the thing that was already stupid because it was essentially like it's a tunnel that you have to move at high speeds in your car, and there's no rails, you're just driving through the tunnel.
And also the way that they like save costs is like they just make the tunnel smaller than a subway tunnel, which is fine and dandy until like you have to get out of the car in the tunnel and
What
you
if there's
can't.
a fire? What if there's a fire, Elon?
What if there's anything goes wrong and the cars are moving at high speeds?
I'm searching my brain for an association between Elon Musk and cars and fires, and I'm just finding none. So I think it's fine. And
You're right.
I don't see
He really
any
is the
issue.
stupidest. He's the stupidest billionaire alive.
The thing is,
and that's a low. Is a high bar or a low bar in this
it's a
case?
very high bar to be the stupidest
Is Trump a
one.
billionaire?
He says he is.
Yeah, he might be stupider.
But he is not a real billionaire. He's a billionaire because he values his name to be $1 billion. To be worth $1 billion. So that's...
I mean, so do I.
Right. Exactly.
Alex leafcrunch.
Alex Leafcrunch is a brand. It's a powerful brand.
I mean,
You owe me $30,000 for saying that.
my brand is so powerful that I don't even have it anymore on Twitter. So, and by anymore, I mean I never had it on Twitter. I
Well, the
only have
second
it
B
on-
stands for billion.
yeah.
Okay, you gave away my secret. That's fine. The second B today stands for birthday.
So the tests of these balloons have been commissioned by the U.S. Southern Command, which is responsible for disaster response, intelligence operations, and security cooperation in the Caribbean and Central and South America. Why are these all one organization?
Yeah.
That's
Because-
like the most like dystopic sentence in the world.
That's colonialism
Right?
shit right there, yeah.
These are government agencies should not be following the same rules as capitalism, where they constantly have to merge with each other.
No. Oh, the other thing...
I can't wait to work for Disney Exxon, one of the world's 3 companies, in 10 years.
I just wanted to say one last thing also about the Boring Company's tunnels. The only way it could get stupider is if they were laying out the tunnels so that they spelled out the word fart in cursive.
What if they spell out Jeremy Bearimy?
What if they spelled out Jeremy Barrett? No, that'd be good though, because that would be a reference to a cool thing,
That'd be a reference to a cool and nice thing.
as opposed
just
to
like when Elon tweeted about, what was it? One of the animes. And he's like,
Full Metal Alchemist?
yeah.
Full Metal Alchemist is good, so...
But it's very popular, so he doesn't get credit for that one.
No, he absolutely does not. He also tweeted about Evangelion once, and then, the only thing he said was NERV, NERV, which is the name of one of the agencies in it. And, that's just, that's a thing in Evangelion. It's not, a reference. You could get that by Googling.
It's kind of like if you just were making a Harry Potter reference and you were just like, Snape.
Ron.
I think we all said a different punchline, and I didn't hear either of the things that you two said.
That's fine.
I think that's probably good.
That's probably for the best. Anyway, the balloons are replacing drones that formerly did this, because the balloons can go higher and can fly for longer.
Right.
Because essentially they can just they can change their altitude to maintain position by just riding air currents.
Okay, but here's an idea. Balloons, you can't direct where they're going to go. You can only guess where they're going to go. And there's this whole normie meme of storming Area 51, which no one's going to do, right? Because it's just a joke. But if everyone blows in a specific direction at the same time, we can push the balloon off course.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yes.
It'd be like in Futurama when they got all the robots onto one island and they had them all aim their exhaust vents into the air to move the Earth out further into its orbit to reduce global warming,
It's exactly
which we should
like
do.
that.
We should also do that, yes.
Yeah.
We should also do that.
We should also
Anyway, we
have
should shoot
Bender.
all these balloons out of the sky. This is instead of storming Area 51, we should storm the Midwest and snipe these balloons out of the sky.
Because where is Area 51 anyway? Probably around there.
True.
It's in Nevada.
No, I know,
or New
but
Mexico.
That's where the fake one is. That
I don't
they
remember
say
where.
it is. That's where they tell everyone.
That's
it is.
true.
Also, you said that they substituted the balloons instead of drones because they can go higher and last longer, and same.
I get it.
Anyways, the permanent surveillance state is just always going to remind me of the Nowhere song that I'm definitely ending this episode with, which is called The Government Knows. I won't say the lines of the song because it's funnier if people just hear them at the end of the episode.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm ready for it. When
It's good. It's a very good song. I'll just link you guys to the music video in podcast chat later.
Okay.
So, yeah, forever surveillance continues. We already voluntarily submit ourselves to surveillance every day by using social media, but they don't get enough data from that. So,
Yeah.
Because nobody uses
get
it
a
while they're
VPN,
driving.
take public transit and pay in cash.
public transit should be free.
Yes, it should.
It should fucking be free.
Yes.
I'm so mad that it's not.
There's no reason that it shouldn't be.
The thing is, the train's already going that way. Can't you just give us a lift?
For real.
it's
And there's
God, I actually had something for the Toronto Transit Commission's electrical workers are proposing a general strike and also proposing that we should make transit free.
Ooh.
And I wanted to gather more information on that before I did a proper story on it. So expect that for a future episode. But
Hell yeah.
let me just say, I am so ready to be mad about trains on this podcast, buddy. Buddy, I am so fucking ready to be mad about trains.
There was a fare hike in Boston actually for all of the public transportation of the buses and the T and the commuter rail and stuff, and it coincided with 4 things just completely fucking breaking on the trains. They're like, okay, next, 2 weeks from now, we're going to have a fare hike of about 25 cents per ride.
Jesus, that's a lot at once.
Also, the red line is on fire. Sorry about that. And,
That's why it's red.
Every week or week and a half, there's a derailment on the above ground train, the green line. And it's just this is what we're paying extra for? Is this?
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, even then, that's still transit in a major city. If you're ever in in what is in a smaller city, you're just getting absolutely fucked year after year with absolutely no improvements because no money is coming into the system at all because they're just not funded.
Right.
Sudbury's transit system is funded even I think at an even higher levy. Sorry, a lower levy than the TTC is. The TTC is funded 75% by fares, which is higher than any major American system.
That is.
Which is insane.
High. There's no
That's so high. Chicago is 10% because they're funded at the local, state, and federal levels. Jeez. And this is somewhere where the U.S. is beating Canada's ass. Yet the TTC is generally considered to be a better system.
That is abysmal.
But it should be funded by the government and it should just be free.
Yeah.
But Sudbury, for example, which is my hometown, they increase their fare by 10 cents every single year. Every year, on January 1st, the fare goes up by 10 cents. There has not been a major service improvement until this week. This week, they're doing some overhaul to the transfer system so you can take transfers more easily. Because the transfer window is 45 minutes. So, if you want to take a transfer, it has to be within 45 minutes.
That's so short.
A city that is larger than the state of Rhode Island.
Yeah, oh my God.
It was nuts. You'd miss your transfers all the time, and basically drivers would just let you on because it didn't make any sense.
I don't think
they're just
I don't think Boston even has transfer windows. I might just be stupid and doing them wrong, but I don't think we even have them at all.
And they're changing the way some of the routes go. They're changing the structure and making so there's actually a central bus that runs along the main road of the city, which they should have had the whole time.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Instead, Sudbury has one station that every bus goes in and out of.
Great.
It made no sense. So this is the first service improvement in over 10 years, while the fare has increased by over $1.
And how much has the minimum wage increased every year? Is it
the minimum wage actually did go up a significant amount in Ontario a couple of years ago under the previous Liberal government.
But it's not.
So it is currently $14 an hour.
But it's not every year to adjust for inflation?
No,
just the fare goes up every year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere that minimum wage goes up every year?
No, but you know where that should happen?
Everywhere?
All of the places that exist.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Sudbury, so many people I know refuse to take the bus because they consider it because they're, they hate poor people. Because that's generally it. The vast majority of people who take the bus are people of low income.
That's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about this yesterday. It was people are oh, I don't like taking the bus. The train's all gross, or the people on it are always, blah, blah, blah. But it's it's only because the only people on it, or the majority of the people on it, are people who absolutely have to take public transportation. Yeah. And it's if transportation was nicer or more accommodating, there would be more people on it, and there would be more people that weren't lower income. Not that there's anything wrong with just having something that's only for lower income people, but it's only that
the thing
way
is,
because
Sudbury's taxi service is a cartel, basically.
Huh.
So we pay a ludicrous amount for taxis if you ever need to take them anywhere. So like people would rather do that than see a poor person.
Right. But
Yeah.
And like there's a high incidence of substance abuse and mental illness among the poor everywhere, but like in Sudbury it's particularly rough, and it's just like having to see that is too much for them. It's really disheartening how little people care about other people.
yeah.
It is. And like the thing for me, the thing that I never see people talk about when they say like I don't want to take the bus because it's gross, is like the actual issue isn't being near poor people. The issue like on public transportation is always like harassment. And that can come from a poor person, or it can come from just a gross person.
Yeah.
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 And like that's the issue that needs to be addressed, and then people won't be uncomfortable taking buses.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I understand people who say they don't want to walk through Sudbury's downtown at night because you'll get a lot of harassment there if you are like, not a dude.
But it's not because they're poor, it's because they're like men usually.
Yeah.
And well, yeah, their solution is just to like put a cop on every corner, as if that would make it better,
Yeah.
which it would not.
No.
Then I wouldn't get to see the guy who walks through downtown Sudbury with a raccoon on his shoulder.
Sounds
And that
great.
guy fucking rules.
Wow.
Instead of a cop on every corner, they should put bus stop on every corner.
Yes, they
You're right.
should.
You're right, and they should.
That is
Replace every cop with a bus stop.
literally though. Yes, I don't see anything wrong with that.
So we kind of veered into accessibility on this topic, and that brings us to our next one, which is Domino's. Did you guys see this one?
Excuse me?
I saw this, yes.
Okay, Domino's will ask the Supreme Court to reverse the Ninth Circuit decision that their website should be accessible to the blind. In court docs, Domino's revealed it would have cost $38,000 to make it accessible, and they are fighting this.
Oh no. What?
$38,000 is fucking nothing.
Nothing.
first of all.
Yeah, first of all, they spent how much money did they spend on revamping the design of their pizza boxes to look fancier and have those
How
ads
much money
that said
did
we
they
know
spend-
our food is dog shit, it's not anymore.
Yeah. How much money did they spend specifically on Hatsune Miku?
Seriously, Hatsune Miku. Hatsune Miku. How did that guy say it? The Domino's guy.
It's Miku.
Miku. He just said it really.
He
He said it
funny.
very weird.
Yeah.
I'll put a clip in.
Hello, everyone. I'm Scott, president of Domino's Pizza. Have you heard of Hatsune Miku? Today, I'd like to announce a new collaborative project featuring Hatsune Miku. Domino's app featuring Hatsune Miku.
$38,000 is absolutely nothing.
Yes. So the general consensus around people talking about this is that it's kind of just they're fighting it for libertarian reasons. In that they don't think that they should be forced to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know that one article that's like, I don't know how to tell you should care about other people?
Yeah.
That, but at corporations.
I don't know how to tell you that blind people will buy your pizza.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
This would get them more than $38,000 in pizza sales from blind people.
For real. And
But essentially, they don't want to be forced to comply with accessibility rules. And if this goes to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court's current makeup like doesn't uphold the decision of the Ninth Circuit Court and reverses it, that would be a huge blow to the Americans with Disability Act,
which is already
It's a
like
huge
very
blow for the ADA.
sparsely enforced.
which is already very sparsely enforced. It's like impossible to get people to enforce it because they just don't give a shit.
yeah. Hard
It's
fucking
like
one, too.
someone robs a store and you'd get a million cops on the job at a moment's notice, and someone robs your house and the cop shows up 8 hours later and shrugs.
Right.
Like it's you can't get them to enforce something like this because they don't care. They're not here for you.
Right. There's no way that
It's
this lawsuit's
fucking-
gonna. Well, whatever. I mean, they're not doing it to save the $38,000.
No, they're doing it because they don't want to have to comply to this because
Slippery slope
I'm sure
argument.
it's some right-wing weirdo that runs Domino's.
Yeah.
It's Hatsune Mike.
This
Everyone,
isn't
everyone go
this is
play
a-
Yonoid 2. It's a fan-made sequel to Yonoid from the 80s, and the
Nice.
villain is Hatsune Mike.
Hatsune Mike.
It's very good.
Oh my god.
And it's free.
So this is the thread goes on to say this is a landmark case for a couple of reasons. It's an ADA case. Until now, no ADA case against a website has been court decided. All of them have been settled. Anytime this has come up, it has been settled. And the Ninth District Court ruled that this is in the guideline, and The ruling stands that if you're not WCAG, I guess that's a compliance, you can be open to ADA penalties. And if the SCOTUS chooses not to hear it or chooses to uphold the decision, it would become case law. So, like, this is an opportunity for something good to happen, but we know what the current makeup of the court is.
It's garbage. And one tiny old lady who's slightly less garbage about a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And not by much. So, yeah, the Supreme Court, sure am glad that it's a fucking partisan institution, huh?
Yeah. Oh, also, there's more than one whatever. I just remembered that RBG.
Well, yeah, I'd say that Sotomayor and Elena Kagan are better than RBG anyway.
Yeah. I just kind of...
But, like, yeah, she's the meme one.
Yeah, the meme one. She has that necklace that she wears every time she dissents because she is #woman boss.
Yeah, hashtag notorious RBG.
Hashtag, I didn't think of a hashtag before I said the word hashtag.
Did that break? Is like, I know one of the people who's responsible for notorious RBG.
Oh boy.
I wonder if I'll ever make him answer for it.
I mean, are you gonna answer for the bad things that have happened because of Doge? No.
No, God, never.
Yeah.
Because so much good has happened.
That's true.
Roy get biped.
Roy get biped. Roy get bicycle.
Roy get boom mate.
Roy get...
What?
Roy needs a roommate. Roy get boom mate.
I didn't know that. Okay.
God bless.
Roy, God bless.
Roy, God bless.
I think we could just skip the next 3 on the list here.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I do want to shout out to Leningrad Lindsay.
Yes, we can do that one with a shout out.
Because, like my nickname, my Leningrad Lindsay shirt is raising a lot of questions that are answered by said Leningrad Lindsay shirt.
I mean, we do have a command in the Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die Discord, !Senate, which immediately gives you an image saying, Senate, 0% chance Democrats win.
Great.
And that's how I feel about this.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like, I mean, being a Democrat in a red state is already a thankless task, but do you have to put people who are just bad at their jobs on the task? Like, I think this is why it's a red state, because the Democrats don't care or try.
Yeah, that sounds...
It's a red state because...
Right of
it's
all Democrats.
Because Leningrad Lindsay...
Because, like, Lindsey Graham should not be getting reelected.
Wait. Alex said a funny joke.
Well, it's a red state because of Leningrad Lindsay.
Hey-oh.
Ooh, yeah, because America notedly has the colors backwards. In every other country in the goddamn world, red is the liberal and blue is the conservative, but the states have it different.
Well, because
red's scary.
Because before, racism became a thing that parties took a stance on. That's what it was. The Party of Lincoln.
Yeah.
And then in the 60s, all of the racist white guys were like, you know what? I think we should have a party just for ourselves. We're going to Republicans, baby.
Yeah, we're just going to call ourselves the Republicans.
Yeah. Literally the reason that this is oversimplification of a class that I took, but the reason that...
Well, I never took anything, so this is news to me anyway.
The reason that the Democratic Party is more proportionately than the Republican Party has more people of color and more women in it is not because people of color and women of color are both of those things, flocked to the Democratic Party. It's because white men flocked to the Republican Party in massive numbers in the 60s and beyond.
Well, that was all like Southern strategy shit, right? That was Nixon's whole deal. Mm-hmm. Is like let's pool the racists together to try to take red states,
right?
Because a lot of red states were reliably blue for a while.
Yep, because
they were strong union beds.
Mm-hmm. And then it was like, well, what if we got people to think that racism was a stronger unifier than class consciousness?
And then it turns out they were right.
And it's very effective.
It is very effective.
Because there are a lot of, there's a strong history of communism and socialism and stuff in the American South and in the...
in the Appalachians.
Yeah. Everywhere that we consider to just be like red state.
Yeah.
But racism very.
As I was saying, the episode that I recommended, the Trillbillies, like, don't write off red states.
Yeah.
There's good comrades in
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have to say about that.
there. Yeah, the Democrats are just set to lose because they don't try.
Yeah, because when they go low, we go to bed. Nappy time.
When they go low, we go to sleep.
Yeah.
When they go low, we go to the polls.
We Pokemon go to the polls.
Pokemon go to the polls. Can I read a headline that I read to Alex earlier that I just think is good? Loose bat terrorizes Spirit Airlines passengers mid-flight. Where it came from, no idea. Where it came from, no idea, said passenger Peter Scattini, who says he eventually got a full refund from the airline. So he got a twofer. You got a visit from a bat, and he got a free airline.
I think this sounds like a win-win to me.
Yeah, I just enjoyed the article because it also, first of all, like, the bat didn't appear until 30 minutes into a 90-minute flight. So it wasn't like, oh no, a bat just came in. It was like, this bat was like chilling and was like, you know what? I need to go to the restroom. Used? And also the article that describes it, does use the word spooked to say that it, the bat spooked passengers, which is, you wouldn't say spooked if it was a bird, but
no, you wouldn't.
Appropriate.
It's because it's spooky, like Halloween.
I think this bat's actually a genius because he can say, I just flew in from Minnesota and I can still fly because my arms aren't tired.
The bat is truly smarter than all of us.
The bat has a tight 15.
Speaking of strange omens, Las Vegas is being swarmed by grasshoppers.
Oh my god. Yes.
So there's a tweet from Citrus Inferno from July 27th, 2018. Stamps blood moon next to black sarcophagus on the omens bingo card.
Oh my god.
Because that was when they found one of the expeditions found a black sarcophagus, and there was also a blood moon at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, almost exactly 1 year later, Las Vegas was being swarmed by grasshoppers. So which biblical plague is next, and which city is it going to hit?
So I'm looking up the biblical plagues.
Yeah, I'm also going to do this, and just to have them handy.
I'll make some mechanical keyboard sounds too, just to...
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so we got blood. That is covered by the blood moon, I think.
Okay, yep.
Is it going to be frogs?
Didn't frogs already happen?
Frogs already kind of happened to Australia.
God voice, sorry, I stacked them.
When they introduced cane toads.
Sorry?
God voice, sorry, I stacked them, lol.
Oh.
Nice.
Frogs? No? Okay.
God resigned.
Pestilence of livestock. I feel like large-scale die-offs of livestock happened in Russia when the permafrost was melting, and all the reindeer got brain parasites from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's another omen. That one's already covered.
It also happened in the 1980s when the U.S. government had a subsidy program for dairy farmers because there's too many dairy cows. They said, we'll pay you if you kill your cows. You kill this many cows. And the dairy farmers were like, okay. And then they did, and they got the money, and they bought more cows.
The Plague of Darkness happened with the 2017 solar eclipse.
True.
Or did it happen on television's Game of Thrones?
Who is going to be beset with a plague of boils?
So that was when Susan Boyle, that was a meme.
Oh no! Like the funniest Futurama episode where her name was Susan Boyle and she's a singing boil.
And she couldn't sing good, which was the thing about Susan Boyle that you gotta know.
From the famously good episode of the Futurama revival with the iPod, which is like a device you put in your eye.
Yes. Yep.
It is an iPhone, but go off.
It was an iPhone. Got it.
It's because there was a phone in there. Thunderstorm of hail and fire is everywhere. Everything is on fire.
Yeah, that's just happening all the time now.
I'm thinking that a true firestorm is going to hit New York City at some point. Just straight up just fiery meteors from the sky.
Oh, actually in Russia right now, in I think it's Siberia, there's heat lightning and just stuff's on fire and it's not close enough.
What the Christ?
It's not close enough to a city for it to be economically feasible for the government to help. So it's just going to burn forever till it gets closer to more people, and then the Russian government will help.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So it'll be like Centralia, Pennsylvania, which has been on fire since the 60s?
That was a good pull. I was going to say that one. I didn't know the name, though.
Yeah, my friend Matt, who I did mention earlier in this episode, but I'm not going to tell you where because it would be outing him for a great injustice that he performed.
Okay.
Went to Centralia and wrote a really good essay about the long history of coal mining and how it's been environmentally disastrous.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good. I'll link the piece in the show notes.
What's the story of Centralia? Is that where the Burning Man festival happens every year?
No, it was they moved a garbage dump to like an abandoned mine area, and a coal vein caught on fire, and it has been on fire since.
Great.
And it's been like 40 years?
Like about 40 years.
That's cool.
And it's just like, it's very bad.
Yeah.
And like 4 people still live there.
Mm-hmm.
Because they refuse to relocate.
Well.
So I'm thinking that all these plagues have already happened.
Well, there's been no plague of lice or gnats, so that's the next one.
That is the next one. Who's it gonna hit? I'm thinking it might hit, like, lice and gnats aren't something that vaccines cover, because I'm thinking like somewhere where there's just a strong anti-vax contingent. Seems like the kind of place where lice is just gonna hit anyway. But those things aren't covered by those kind of medications.
No. I mean, like, for gnats, it might be somewhere where, like, permafrost is melting. So maybe Russia again, or probably us.
Probably us, probably Canada. I mean, I am, like, just constantly in love with the fact that tick populations are steadily moving north with climate change.
Oh, it's great.
Like, ticks, a thing that I never had to worry about because they were not in my climate area. I think I yelled about this the last time I was on, too.
The last time that...
Because I fucking hate the idea of ticks.
I was on as well.
It's because they keep trying to promote the tick on podcasts.
Griffin Newman's doing it. Griffin Newman is responsible for the plague of ticks.
The last plague is like death of firstborns, but that's not very funny.
No. So,
but
hell is coming
I did
for
want to
us
mention
all.
it just so that we don't get added about it.
Yeah.
What is it, firstborns?
Yeah, firstborn sons.
What if,
I mean, that isn't me, so I'm fine.
you know, but what if it was Donald Trump Jr.? That would be funny because we don't like him. He'd be dead.
That would be funny, and because we don't like him. Not a threat.
Yeah, not making a threat, it's just stating a fact. Donald Trump Jr. is Pokemon going to die.
I mean, yeah.
I wonder if the plagues are like transphobic. Like, would I go? Because I'm not a son,
No.
but I am firstborn.
I think that the plagues.
Does being trans get you out of it?
It might.
Well,
And if it doesn't, you can cancel God.
yeah. Can God make a gender that even she can't? I don't know where I was going with this when I started.
Transition to?
Yeah. But here's the thing, because the way that the firstborn son thing worked, didn't you have to, if you put goat's blood above your door, then you wouldn't get visited by that plague?
Yeah.
So I think if it's a plague that's kind of, if it's based on being evaluated on an individual basis, I don't think that it would be administered in a way that would become transphobic. You know, like I don't think it's as simple as, oh, you were born first, you were assigned a boy, you must be firstborn son. It's, you know, a holistic approach that this plague is taking.
Well, no. Well, if you've seen the Prince of Egypt 1998 movie, you see that like it's kind of a thoughtless tentacle that like goes through the streets and just like gets turned away by the goat's blood. So I think we could update that for modern times, where instead of goat's blood above the door, it's just one of the like ubiquitous trans flags that everyone has. That I don't know where to buy one, but that's just above your door.
If it's in your window, above your door. Yeah, that makes sense. But you also have been called a goat.
Goat's blood.
You have blood in you.
I do have blood, so it's my goat blood.
You're a goat blood, so you're fine, and I'm fine because also I was called a goat by.
So anyone who's goat is good.
Okay.
Which is where goat
that
comes
tracks.
from. The word good.
It's true.
Thanks so much.
Happy to help.
We did the plague math, so
We did the plague math. And that is in fact episode.
We're plague doctors now.
we're plague doctors.
Can we get the cute masks?
Yes.
Yeah.
The masks are so fucking cute.
Did you know that they were so that you didn't smell the gross plague smells?
Yeah,
Yes.
the noses are full of like flowers.
I didn't know that. I thought it was just
It's very
aesthetic.
cute. Just little aromas. The aesthetic is very fucking cool. I feel like they wouldn't have caught on if they didn't look that cool.
It's extremely strong.
So this has been Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die. We have Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Gmail. All of these things are HKIPGTD. We have a subreddit, /r/HKIPGTD. Thank you to Bisexual Punch Party for setting that up for us. We also have a Discord. You can get the link from the front page of noisespace.xyz, which is the podcast network on which we are hosted by me, because I do it.
Yay!
It's you.
We got new shows. We got new shows on the network. We have a show called Radish, which is a show and tell podcast, like a pop culture thing. We have recently, one of them did the viral bigger than before arts and crafts video, and then licked the egg that resulted from it, and it was a disgusting video, and it's been retweeted to the Noise Space Twitter. So if you wanted to look at that, you can look there.
Bigger than before.
Bigger than
before. We'd
What
like
else
to.
is on the network?
There's also a podcast called Ham Steak.
So two different food podcasts.
Two different food podcasts. Ham Steak is about Homestuck, hosted by Lydia and someone named Alex Leafcrunch.
You cut out there. I didn't hear who it was.
Alex Leafcrunch.
It was Alex Leafcrunch.
Oh. You owe me $30,000 each now. Gotcha.
Oh, yeah, dang it. No.
Shit.
We've been tricked.
You've been got.
And the other new podcast is Picking Up Something Good, which is a limited event series podcast in collaboration with Neodetritus Records, where Mace and Nikki listen to the entire Radiohead discography. Mace is very familiar with the works of Radiohead, and Nikki has never listened to them before, so it's that kind of podcast.
What if, so you know Jonathan Joestar's body?
Mm-hmm.
I don't, but continue.
I know it very well.
Has no head on it.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a head on it now.
Mm-hmm.
And what if it was Ray Dio head?
Oh.
Okay. I see what you're putting down.
Oh. It's a pretty rad Dio head.
Nice.
True.
Speaking of JoJo, the JoJo podcast of friends of the show, Brooks and Eddie, has officially gone dormant and is going to be replaced on the exact same feed with a podcast for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood called 5 Grams of Iron.
I'm very,
very excited for it.
I've never watched it.
I'm excited to finally understand the plot of Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I know about it is like the first or second episode is about something bad happening to a girl and a dog.
That's number 4.
Number 4. The way people talk about it without spoiling it makes it extremely obvious what happens. So I'm looking forward to getting that out of the way.
I'd like to thank the Taxpayers for the use of their song Evil Man, which is our theme song. And since I already know what the song is going to be at the end, I'd like to thank Knower for the use of our ending song called The Government Knows. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to support the show, you can throw us a couple bucks on Patreon. Any donation is appreciated and gets you access to bonus content, including pre-shows, post-shows, and anything we release, such as Lightbringers. We're going to try to get that Storm of Swords one up soon. We have a pre-show for once, because we were being funny before we started the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have a $5 tier, which gets you a special word on our Discord and a shout out in the podcast for being such a good comrade. And then the $10 tier gets you the ability to listen to our podcast as we record it, which Stephanie was doing before she started brushing her hair, and which apparently Matt is doing right now. Oh, you are still listening? You got your Bluetooths on?
Is Looker listening?
Looker is always listening, but he's mostly looking. So
Listener.
I would like to thank our $5 and $10 patrons, which include Roan the Other V. Berg, Dr. Activisionary, Burgermeister, Stephanie Ruff, Pregnant Seinfeld, David Besser, Alex Schaup, Six Armed Sweater, Bryce, A Sexual Fish Tank, Ashinu, Nick Verne, Alex Hoot, Dick Butt is the Real Jesus, Maximilian Rower, Tufster McGee, Kangaria, Bryant, Mogu, Nick Clarkson, Kadeho, Florian Siegel, Destry Hawk, PR The Disaster, The Tallest Jew, Michael Weems, Non-Binary with Left Beef, Summergeist, Dijonnaise, Chaz Goblin, Paul Blart, Fleshcart, Oleanders, and Ellen the Anarcho-Lolandist.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And as we always say...
No, we're not done. We still have Lightbringers.
Oh, yeah, we have Lightbringers.
As we
supposed to do those before
as we
Patreon.
always say, oh yeah, we forgot about Lightbringers.
I mean, it happens to me every week.
Yes.
If you need a second to think of one, I have one.
Yeah, go first.
And I wasn't going to bring this, but I kept thinking of it over the course of this episode because we talked about a lot of things that made me think, oh yeah, there's a 99% Invisible podcast episode about that. There's like 4 or 5 different things we talked about that if you're interested in, just search like, there's one episode about surveillance balloons being used. I forget in which Mexican city, but like talking about how law enforcement there use these balloons that are going to be used in the States and like how this has already affected people. There's one about Centralia, I think. There's one about what else did we talk about?
I already forget. Everything leaves my mind the second I say
We
it.
talked about John Delaney. There's probably
I don't think there's one about that,
Oh.
but there's probably one about website blindness accessibility.
Oh yeah.
It's a podcast about how the designed world is supposed to be 99% invisible, so you don't even notice unless the 1% of stuff sticks out. You've probably already heard of it. It's like one of the most popular podcasts in the world, but it's really, really good, and it always gives me food for thought and makes me go, aha, yeah, I've heard of that. So yeah, that's mine.
Val, you got one?
I'm gonna say another noise space podcast, City Girls Make Do, is very good and has
It is very good.
recently had 2 extremely cool gender nonconforming and or trans guests on. Just to not to name names, but it's me and Alex, and we're great. So
You are good.
It is true.
you can listen to any episode that you want of City Girls Make Do, but there's one with me on it and one with Alex on it. So
Eventually I'll be on it.
eventually, Matt, go on. City
I
Girls
mean,
Make
in
Do.
more than I was on the last episode where I just kind of yelled things from the other side of the room.
But you contributed very positively to the episode because I believe you were the one that,
I did say Miranda.
and also you said the thing about Megalopunny being the horniest.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
with
that.
zero hesitation, I might add. It's like, hey Matt,
Look,
are you in here? What's the horniest Pokemon? Megalopunny.
I've been online forever. I know these things. Sometimes you just know.
Sometimes you just know.
Sometimes
My-
Yule.
Lightbringer this week is the BBC series Fleabag, which me and Stephanie started watching. It's by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. It's like a comedy series about, I don't know, kind of just about her relationships and about her obsession with sex in season 1 at least. We still haven't finished the first season. As a BBC series, they're 6 episode seasons and they're half-hour episodes.
Wow.
And there's only 2 of them and it's confirmed done. So like the perfect length for anything to be. I love to hear all those words in sequence.
There isn't a secret final episode.
No, there's not a secret final good episode because it's all good the whole time.
Okay.
So season 1 was from 2016, and then 2019 is where season 2 came out, and it was nominated for a bunch of Emmys, and I hope Phoebe Waller-Bridge wins some.
Excellent.
She also created Killing Eve, so like she's
Such a good show.
very good at what she does.
Yes.
Nice.
So yeah, Fleabag. I'm gonna not recommend a podcast this week as I usually
But
do.
I recommended one, so it evens out.
Yeah, it all evens out.
I also recommended one.
Oh
Are we
yeah.
actually done this time?
I think so.
Because I always just forget
we-
the things we do at the end of the episode because I have no brain.
Do we plug
I think
our
there's something at the top of the doc that says what to mention at the end of every episode.
Do we plug
You know what?
ourselves yet? Have we done that?
We could plug ourselves.
Ugh.
I didn't mean it like that. I'm Val Flight Cub. My Twitter is Flight Cub. It's 2 B's. The second B stands for birthday because it's my birthday today. And birthday.
It's true.
Yeah,
That was me thinking
It is
about
birthday.
and then not mentioning that I had tweeted out my Amazon wish list. I'm not good.
27.
Which I wouldn't mention on the podcast.
Go buy them something nice.
I would never say
Yeah.
to buy me anything on my Amazon wish list, which I tweeted out.
I'm Matt. You can find me on Twitter at MattGCN. I have like 8,000 podcasts. Some of them still have episodes being made. I recorded an episode of Tuning Fork yesterday about the Animal Collective album Merriweather Post Pavilion, which will be going up soon. And tomorrow I'm recording an episode of Giants Confirmed about the They Might Be Giants album, John Henry. So you can hear me in a lot of places.
Do you ever podcast?
I podcast sometimes. I also have a Mixcloud account, which I have been uploading my old radio shows to. So if you want like music recommendations and to hear me talk a bunch, I uploaded like more than 18 hours of shows like just 3 days ago.
Hell
So there's a lot on there if you want some good music recommendations from back when I still listened to music regularly and wasn't all podcasts all the time.
yeah. Nice. I'm Alex Leafcrunch. You can find me at Leafcrunch on Tumblr and Twitter. I do the Hamsteak podcast now on noisepace.xyz. the feed. So funny story. Thing that you should always know is don't write your show notes in the Tumblr text editor because all of the links will become Tumblr redirect links that will break.
Oh no!
So the show notes for the updated feed are still a work in progress, a little construction man gif, but they will eventually all be fixed. But yeah, you can listen to Hamsteak right here on the Noise Space Network. And we're recording a new podcast episode for that, hopefully in the next week.
Hey.
Woo woo!
You'll hear about Hamsteak. I mean, Homestuck. I get them too confused because they're the same word.
They are the same word.
But yeah, that's me. That's my...
So you want to know what the other thing we always say is?
Time to le.
Memento Pokemori.
Memento Pokemori.
Semper funny.
We hate cops.
Le.
True. Le.
The government knows when you masturbate. The government knows when you masturbate. The government knows when you feel alone and it's getting late and you're sitting at home, looking straight through your webcam, looking at you as Uncle Sam. Look him in the eyes with your balls in your hand and stick it to the man. In the zone, weird look on your face. This is how you're stored in their database. They're all around. They're all no win. The only dick they haven't seen is Edward Snowden's. The government knows.
Do it, Lisa. You'll be greater than or equal to boys.
Even though you're only 8, your possibilities are infinite.
27!